Hello. Thank Godot, it's Friday. Hey, Ariana Journey. The Sapphire Starship. Doing a flyby. How appropriate. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for swinging by. Welcome, welcome. As Sorcery Story typically says. To Digital Iliad here. We're working on an isometric 2D FTL-like game, along with an isometric 2D FTL-light game that we're making. We're making games within games. We're the nesting doll game dev. All right, we'll change the radio. Thank Godot. Indeed. Here we are. You know, I was doing some qualitative, like, market research. Thursdays are like, I have a co-working session with some people, some other game devs, and we explicitly were like, the theme for the Thursday meetup is like business. Call it business time for you Flight of the Conchord fans out there. And it's really good because it's a good opportunity to like do stuff that you put off during the week because you're like, I don't want to do that. That's not game dev. That's business stuff. So I made a little update to the website, which was good. I just point my, well, there's still a landing page on the website, but I consolidated all the links so that it just takes you to the link tree. I'm almost tempted to get rid of the website and just have it just totally linked to the link tree, but I feel like eventually there will be enough different things that I need to arrange. I need to rebuild. I need to burn that whole website down and rebuild it from the bottom up. I'm just not a web dev, so. But we still did it, and then I did some comparative market research. All the while, I had Ropica's Idle Island running in the corner. They only have 30 minutes of music. Rhiannon, honestly, take the big game, make it smaller, make it smaller, make it smaller. Probably a good way to make the final game. Yeah, that's like the classic engineer's like technique, right? It's like you take a big problem and you break it up into smaller problems, and you just do that until the problem is small enough that you can actually, you know, get some traction on it and do it. So yeah, that seems reasonable. Rhiannon Journey. It's not part of it, but it's still very important. Yeah. You love that song or skit or whatever. Yeah, business time. You know, it's time for business time when when I'm wearing my business socks or whatever he says. That's why they call them business socks. Yeah, I do love some Flight of the Conchords. It's a great way to like date yourself as like a millennial or whatever. One of those groups. Hey, Nix. Thanks for the hydrate. How's it going? But yeah, I was looking at idle game stuff last night. I was playing Ropica's Idle Island. I bought Rusty's Retirement because it's the spring sale right now on Steam, and I want to play some Rusty's Retirement. I want to see how they do it because there's a lot more automation in Rusty's Retirement. Like there's a lot more scaling, which I don't need for the lo-fi flyby demo. The demo is meant to just be our girl, her cat / whatever shapeshifter creature we ultimately decide that it is, and like a little cargo ship, and it's like that's it. It's simple, but you could totally see the full game being like you could get a bigger ship, you could hire crew, you could maybe like buy a robot, I don't know. Like you could get furniture, or like you could see, well, not the furniture. The furniture will maybe have in the demo a little bit of like, you got to be able to buy something. There's got to be some kind of progression. But like, I want to try Rusty's Retirement and see how they do automation. Hey, Nanigans. Happy Friday. Thank Godot it's Friday. Why are we retiring? Who are we retiring? Rusty's Retirement. It's a cute little desktop companion game. It's probably the biggest of the idle desktop companion games. I can bring it up. I mean, I'm not going to play it, but I can like bring up the Steam page. I think it's an important thing when you decide to work in a genre to like take a look at like what's there. Yeah, it's this cute bottom of the screen desktop companion style game. It's probably one of the OGs. I say OGs, it's only from April 2024, but it's definitely one of the bigger ones. And it's only got 6,000. I say only got. It's got 6,000 ratings, which is actually pretty good. So like I would consider this like a ceiling of what an idle game could do. This is like pretty close to the max. There's other games you can get on Steam that are like genuine like lo-fi girl, like girl in the window, girl at laptop, whatever. Like there's actual like lo-fi girl games, but those are meant to be more, I think they're like desktop backgrounds or second screen games. Like they take up more real estate. And I'm interested in this sort of thing where it's like, it takes like a corner of the screen. I don't want to take the whole bottom of the screen, but I'm interested in taking the corner of the screen and like putting a ship there and having the things just happen. I'm interested in that. Like Ropica's done 2,000 ratings, which is pretty good since it's come out. And then some of the less popular ones that are like more knock-ons, like what's My Little Life done? Which has been out for about a year. About 1,000 for My Little Life. Some of the other ones, like Desktop Cat Cafe, has done less than 100. This is the area we don't want to get stuck in, is like the 100 Steam reviews. We need to do everything we can to like get into the 1,000 Steam reviews. Maltese's Fluffy Onsen. There were a whole bunch of these that came out after Rusty's retirement. Not Monday Cafe. This looks pretty cute. You know what they call these? Casual indie simulation games. There isn't even really like an idle genre description on Steam. Everyone just does casual indie simulation and maybe strategy. Like Rusty's Retirement has strategy, the strategy tag, because you do like set up robots that like automate stuff for you. Like you're a robot. Rusty's a robot, appropriately enough. And then you can like get more robots that like help. Super cute. I'm going to play this game probably like over the weekend or something while I'm working on other stuff. Rhiannon, no research or coding for you last night. Your favorite band of all time, The Deer Hunter, released their latest album, Sunya, and it's a masterpiece. I need to watch that movie. I feel like I've seen it before, but it would have been so long ago. That's really cool. Sunya, I might check it out. I saw one of my very favorite musicians a few weeks ago, and I don't do live music very often, but I want to do it more. But yeah, this is sick. This is a sick game. See, I think this is a helpful thing to do. There's analytics websites you can go to. I'm not going to go to any of them now, but there's like Steam analytics websites where you can dive even deeper. You don't have to guess based on reviews. You can like rely on people's analytics to like figure it out. Nix, we got a chili update. She's a meower. She meows and meows and meows. And when you think she cannot meow anymore, she meows once more. That's funny. She's a perfect replacement for Shiva, who was a hollerer. A holler, is that like just the meow equivalent of like screaming? You know what my favorite is? I love the, I really love the Oriental short hair cats. Those like snub-nosed, long-eared little cats. They're not little, they're actually pretty big for cats, but they honk. They make like a distinct, like literal honk sound, and like it kills me every time. I enjoy them. What else did I do last night? I did a little work on some sprite stuff. If you'll notice when we changed from our big block, our single big block, to our collections of little blocks, things got slightly smaller. So like a door, for example, now is like this is the old door and it's nice. But the new door, because it's a collection of blocks stacked on top of each other, the new door is actually 1 pixel smaller. So I've started the process of like drawing that out. So I've had to widen the outline and shift some stuff around because there's now a gap pixel for these. It's normal and it tessellates correctly, but I'm gonna have to redo a bunch of art, which is fine. So I've been working on that a little bit in my free time here. Probably work on it some more tonight. Probably sit on the couch with my drawing tablet and just work on some art. Art doesn't really stream very well, which is interesting. I think people seem to prefer code and me like running the game and like messing around with stuff in the code. So we'll do that today. There's plenty to do. Plenty to do. As a reminder, we're working our way towards the game plan. Our brand new quote-unquote game plan of making a Steam page, making a game trailer, making a demo. This is it. This is what we got to do this year. And we're thinking of it like a game jam because we're thinking of like, what can we cut? What can we move? What kind of clever things can we do to improve? Yesterday we fixed a bug, which is great. Maybe I'll confirm that it's fixed. How's everyone doing? Nix. The hollering was louder than screaming. An itty bitty teeny little cat sounded like a nuclear siren on steroids. That's funny. Rhiannon, that band is prog rock. It's the second album in their current concept. Funky sci-fi jazz rock. Can you drop me a link in like off topic or something? I'll make that stream chat. I keep going back and forth on whether it makes sense to do a stream chat in the Discord, but there's enough times where I'm like, I want to save something from the stream, or I want to send a link or something, but not post it here, or like whatever. So I think it's worth doing. I think it's worth doing the stream chat. I mean, if there's anything more worthy of like a stream of consciousness chat channel, it's the stream, right? It's in the name. Nanigans. You don't know if it would quite work with a dimetric art style like what I've got, but you posted a thing about sprite stacking with an A-Sprite plugin that looks pretty cool. Ooh, I'll check it out. Seems to make it a lot easier to do 3D looking pixel art, including characters. Interesting. I will definitely take a look at that. So yeah, we fixed a big bug. We fixed the last bug that I can find in the cursor mapping system and the cutaway. There's still some corner case bugs in the auto tiler. I want a better test. I want to make some textured tile atlases so that I can test the corner behavior a little better. Because right now it's just, is there a corner pixel or is there not a corner pixel? And that's hard to tell. But what I actually want to know is, are we rendering a corner texture? Which will be a lot more obvious. I'll do like a gradient or something, just so it's like super obvious. This test can be pretty rudimentary here. Yeah, funky sci-fi jazz rock sounds cool. As long as it's not like a Mos Eisley jazz rock. I'm not gonna say the name of that genre. You can't make me. Hey, smooth in a second. Rhiannon, your goal is to try to ask about the game plan every first stream of the week. It's good. It's something we got to keep in mind every day. But yeah, it's good to check in. Because there's an element of cheating that we can do with the Steam page and the game trailer. Because, like, we can just mock a lot of stuff up. Especially for the Steam page before we get the game trailer. But yeah, there's 3 quarters left in the year. Q1 is over, right? We're basically out of Q1. Q1 is over at the end of this month. So I'm just going to call Q1 here a mulligan. But yeah, Q2, Steam page. Q3, game trailer. Q4, demo. That's like it. That's the plan for this year. And we're going to do it. It's going to happen. It's going to be our year. It's going to be the year of Lo-Fi Flyby taking off. Gonna happen. All right, so yeah, what used to happen if I did this and jammed the cursor into this junction, it would fail. Yeah, and by fail, it would like scroll us down. It would like dump the cursor into the next block behind, but now it dumps the cursor into the next block ahead. So it would be cool if it went sideways rather than just straight forward, but honestly, this is fine. So this is fixed. And then if we do the same thing on the ground floor, same thing happens. Beautiful. The same thing should also be preventable on the edges. Yep. If you're like, I don't get it, the behavior just looks correct, that's correct. All right, looking good, looking good. Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about auto tiling right now. So we're gonna work on something else today. So what are we gonna work on today? I don't know. It's still Q1 on the GDC calendar. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. That's a good way to think about it. I'm leaving that extra quarter of like Q1 2027 because for one thing, GDC is going to be at the beginning of March next year. And for another thing, I would kind of like the demo to be out for a while. Get an idea of the enthusiasm and the feedback before we go, you know, shopping for publishers at GDC. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Lo-Fi Flyby is kind of our hype piece. It's intended to be the hype piece for the big game, right? It's intended to get people excited about the setting, to be excited about the characters, even though the characters aren't going to like carry over. It's designed to get people excited about the universe. The Digital Iliad, Ludo universe, Ludoverse. All right, what are we going to work on today? Am I going to add DLSS 5 to the game? Very topical, very funny. So I added the tile selection overlay to the in progress task list, but it's not technically in progress because like we disabled it and we've never re-enabled it. So maybe that's what we'll work on today. This seems to be what past me intended for present me to do. Out of spite, I kind of want to do something else, but this seems like actually maybe the best thing to do would be to get our overlays working. Because these are pretty much done. Like, oh, auto tiler corner case is not, but the raycast cursor input, pretty much done. The block cursor, the block cutaway system, pretty much done. I'm moving these to the completed pile. Huzzah. Get them out of here. All right, what do we need? What needs to happen to be able to get the overlays going? The intention is that they're just drawn along with everything else. But you know what we need to do next time or soon? We also need to do we need to switch the canvas items from being Z layer based to compartment based. That's also something we could do. But let's do this. Let's do this first. All right, who's all in charge of this? Who's flying this thing? Block Sculpting Group has a lot to do with this, but they're just setting up... They're setting up a couple things, actually. Most of this code is old and could be deleted. But I have it here because I'm afraid. Next, you have to reinstall Project Zomboid again. That's frustrating. So if we're in a selection, we set the cursor bounds. Selection stage. We set the selection stage and the selection cursor bounds. So the cursor bounds is how we do this for this. For the... I guess we want to know... Do we want to just know what the bounds are, or do we want to check to make sure that we're in a selection mode? Oh, wait, selection coords? What's the difference here? Oh, it's a list. It's this. This is what we want. Oh, no, it's not a list. It's a hash set. I guess that's fine. I feel like it could be a list, but hash set seems reasonable. I assume it's a check we're making when we actually iterate through the volume is how we've set that up. So here, for each set of coordinates in the cursor bounds, we add that to the selection mode. So that's all well and good. But where are we? When are we doing our hover or our interaction? Cursor bounds. Oh, we're tracking both. Okay, so we track the cursor bounds and the selection coords. That makes a lot of sense. Because here we're also setting the cursor bounds, cursor bounds, cursor bounds. And then so when we need to do a hover, we would do it here. So how did we do that before? Next, Project Zomboid removed a bunch of versions from their Steam with today's security patches. They must have found something. Must have found something. I want to reuse this code. We have this code for projecting shadows down from like the cursor block. Kind of want to turn that back on. I'd have to make sure it still works with our current process, but kind of want it. Kind of want it. Cursor chords, preview blocks, active block tag. So are we also tracking cursor chords then? Because I don't see us setting cursor bounds here. Oh, we do it here. We totally do it here. Okay. Cool. Okay, so that's how we do it. And then in terms of actually drawing that, we would need to do that in its own pass, right? Love trying to remember how I did something. Hopefully your mod still works. I believe. Unless your mod targets some like super old version that they just destroyed. Which I feel like that's not how you would write that. But we set the block hull types. Your mod targets all. Okay. Reasonable. So we need to do a set of canvas item draws. We'll need to do a set of draws specifically for the overlay. I have most of the structure in place. So what we do is we submit an eye collection of vector 3, of vector 3 eyes that represents the mask. This way we can send them lists or hash sets or whatever, and it doesn't care. We'll probably narrow that down in the future, but right now that's just the flexibility is nice. You think you're future-proof until version B43? That's at least a decade away. Do they have a roadmap that goes that long? Or are they just notorious about taking forever to update? That game has been running forever. How long has Project Zomboid been around for? Like forever, right? Maybe not like Dwarf Fortress forever, but it's been quite a long time. My understanding. 2013. Yeah. It's pretty long. Just a year younger than FTL. Same age as DayZ. Crazy. And RimWorld. Wow, 2013. What a year, huh? Guess that's just back when people were making the good games, huh? Between B40 and B42, it's been around 15 years or so. That's crazy. Maybe not quite 15 years, but soon. B40 came out in 2018, so only 8 years. Yeah, there you go. Only 8 years to do 2 versions. That seems reasonable. All right, does all of this know what to do when we're passing in the mask? Yes, it does. Okay, good. So all we really need to do we need to do 3 passes or is 2 passes okay? I think we need to do 3 passes. Because we need to pass the cursor bounds and we need to pass the selection coords. So we're going to add, that's going to slow this down a bit, but you know what? It'll probably be okay. I don't remember how this used to work. just gonna say add canvas item draws. We'll pass in the block cuts. And the first mask will be game.input cursor bounds. Dot to list. And we'll do the same thing again. Canvas item draws, block cuts. This time I'll pass in game.input.selection coords, which is already an eye collection. All right, how are we gonna set the? We need to tell it what texture to set. Where do we do that? Where do we do the things that we do in the game that we do? Well, we set the parameters here. Somewhere we're setting the source ID. Texture ID. Texture ID is texture ID. You have a where texture ID equals mask is null. If the mask is null, it's the tile hull key. Otherwise, it's 4. Okay, I don't love that. Make a constant. We'll call it like overlay texture ID. That'll be 4. We'll make that better later. But no magic numbers. Let's try to minimize the number of magic numbers we have in here. Overlay texture ID. I could even say default overlay texture ID. Hey, no Jewel, how's it going? Thank Godot, it's Friday. Alright, let's make sure that we have the right texture ID, I guess. Would be a good thing to check. Good thing to check. I'm gonna launch on some Apple here. Well, it seems like we need a default overlay. We seem to not have one of those, which is interesting. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. Yeah, I went and got a bigger water cup today. I got my big Bart mug. holds the most water of any mug that I have. It's hot out. It's kind of the last day of the so-called heat wave here. It's nice. It's warm. It's supposed to cool down tomorrow, though. But yeah, I was like, I need some water, or I'm going to be in trouble. If I'm going to drink the amount of coffee that I feel like I need to drink today, I'm like, I need some more water. Nix, you got another chili update. She's decided to take up a hobby as a maid. She goes around, collects plastic, brings it to the couch or your girlfriend's chair to dispose of it. To dispose of it. She'll even dig through the trash to find anything plasticky. So she started up her own little recycling plant. But she's relying on you to do the actual recycling. What an environmentally conscious cat. I really need to gut about 90% of the assets in this project. There's so much old junk that's just sitting around. It's spring cleaning time soon. When does spring start? It's not like tomorrow, is it? The first day of spring. Oh, it's today. Whoa. Well, happy vernal equinox, everybody. That's fun. I thought the days were getting longer. Yeah, time to clean up. You're not kidding, no, Jewel. Spring cleaning needs to be like a big deal in this house this year. I don't just mean... I mean, my actual apartment is horrible, and I actually do need to spring clean a lot of it. But yeah, this project needs a very thorough spring cleaning as well. All right, what am I going to do? I'm going to take probably the hall... Oh, there is an overlay block. Oh, look at me. Thanks, Past Dave. I was like, I really don't want to have to make this again. Already did it. Beautiful. You'll love to see it. I get this really sinking feeling that, like, past Dave has his shit together more than present Dave. Which is terrible because I knew past Dave. I call this default overlay block, maybe. Maybe default overlay block should actually be texture 1. But we're gonna leave it here for now. I need my UID. There it is. I do like these UIDs, I'm not gonna lie. I might just call it overlay block, just to be consistent. Default block, hull type blocks, overlay block. For now, this is it. The art texture registry is gonna get much smarter. But right now it is just what it says it is. It's just a lookup for passing textures to our canvas item draw calls. I'm really hoping Godot does some smarter stuff on the back end so that we're not constantly uploading textures, but you know, all you can do is hope. I think it is. I think it's pretty smart. I think Godot was made pretty well. So that should all work. I might go back to calling this just overlay texture ID. We'll have different kinds of overlays soon, but right now we just have the one. It's just like a semi-transparent, like white. Shenanigans. It is always such a warm and fuzzy feeling when you go to tackling something that you really don't feel like doing, and you realize you from several months earlier already took care of it. Isn't that incredible? For me, they usually haven't already taken care of it, but usually what they've done is they've architected the system in such a way that it will be easy to add. And then so I usually spend like a few hours like struggling to think about how I would do this thing. And then I look at the way the project set up and I'm like, oh, I already thought about this. I'm like, oh, I actually made it easy for myself to do this. That's nice. That's nice of me. Next, you forgot to mention, Chili will chirp until someone is watching her, where she chows down on said plastic. Sometimes if you watch her for too long, she stops chomping on the plastic and starts meowing and coming closer. Past Dave did that with a box of scraps in a cave. Nice. I understood that reference. So this is like kind of good to go then, huh? All things being, you know, equal. Will this just work? Oh, you know what we need to do? We need like we need some kind of this is interesting. It takes a minute to catch up. Oh, Lord. Well, for some reason, I thought we were going to for sure. And maybe we do. Oh, yeah, it's totally random. So what we need to do, this is where that X factor field comes in handy, right? Because we sort our draws. First, we sort them by Z index, which right now is meaningless because each canvas item only handles a certain Z index. Then we do the Y sort next. And then we need this X factor because we need to be able to say things like an overlay has a higher sort than, you know, a regular opaque texture for a given block. And so this is how this is where the X factor comes into play here. And this is the expression of that. Ooh, there's some chili posts to catch up on. We might take a look. We might take a look during. Oh, you mean here in the chat? Okay. Oh yeah, we don't have a pet pet chat yet. Yet more chats we need. Yet more chats. Pet pic chat. You've noticed that? Yeah, or a pet tax chat. What are we gonna do? So what we need to do is we need to set the X factor for when we're doing this. Can we just know? Can we do the same thing here of like mask is null? Yeah, let's just do that. That seems like the easiest thing to do. Mask is null. If it is null, if the mask is null, it will be 0. If it's not, it'll be 1. At the moment, we don't need to sort between overlays. We can just have the overlays randomly sort amongst themselves. But eventually I'll want to encode that somewhere where like we pass in some information about the material that we're trying to draw, or the block, or whatever you want to say. We'll have to think about how that interacts with our intention to be able to paint individual face tiles. So that you can kind of like direct the auto tiler to kind of be a little more specific. Or maybe I guess it's more like you're overwriting the auto tiler. The Y sorting we don't do at the moment. Y sorting will be within the tile. Like, what's your position within the given tile? And at the moment, we don't need to answer that question because all the blocks, the blocks all have a position. It doesn't require that. Actually, eventually this will be required. But not until we start putting doors down and stuff and characters. So at the moment, we're going to ignore it. Let's see if this fixes the... Okay, there's still this period of catch-up, which is interesting. Where it's like I move the thing and then the overlay pops up. Which is weird. This is also probably a system execution order problem. In terms of like a desync between when the sculpting system runs and the this is another side effect of the canvas item system running on a background thread. But this part works. Again, it takes a second to update, but it works. Oh, you know what I want to do is when we're in erase mode, I kind of want to draw the hollow selection tile. Kind of want to do that. Okay, what about a selection? Hey. That was easy. Nice, it works pretty cleanly with the cutaway. Looking good. A period of catch up. I thought of that joke too. Next. But you actually were bold enough to make it. And for that I commend you. Thanks for clipping. Thanks for the clip, Nix. All right, so to fix this, what do we need to do? Well, the thing I actually want to fix immediately well, I want to show the selection outline on an erase. So I want to show the erase. But here's the problem. So like here's like our we're making selections and stuff, right? This isn't hooked up anymore. The block palette is totally not hooked up to anything. So once I go into selection mode, I actually can't go back into block placement. Because this doesn't do anything anymore. So I also need to fix these. So we probably need to work on the block palette. I want a block palette and I want a face palette. So I want you to be able to select a block, and I want you to be able to select, well, maybe the face painting thing will be a little more advanced later. But I definitely want to set the block palette up again so that it actually, because this is a I need to think about how this works. Like, it's easily expressed with the door, right? So the door, if we look at the door, if you look at the outline of the door is 3 blocks, right? 3 blocks. So we need to be able to talk about and place things as a volume. And then we need the auto tiler to understand this. So that if the auto tiler sees a stack of door blocks that are 3 blocks tall and 1 block wide, it'll know to be like, okay, we're going to draw this kind of a door. And that's actually somewhat easily expressible using our current tile texture format, but not exactly. It's not exactly. As soon as we have 3 tile 3 wide doors, we need to think of something else. Or 3 tall. Once you get 3 plus tall, we need a slightly different system because it actually needs to evaluate the totality of the door before picking up. The rest of the auto tiler is dumb as dirt, right? All it does is it looks at its tile and the neighboring tiles, and it's like, this is what I should draw here. But something that's drawing a larger object would need to know more about the larger object to draw it, which makes me think that if you're talking about a multi-block object, that multi-block object is actually, even if it's part of the environment, it's actually more like a character than it is like a piece of the background, which makes me think that it should be its own little entity with its own little information. Or something. I want to do something. I'm not quite sure what, but we got to do something to be able to handle drawing a door or placing a door in the environment. But I want it to be somewhat flexible, right? So if you place a single door block, that should open up, that should place like a hatch or something, right? Like if it's exposed on the roof, it's like a hatch, like a vertical hatch. And if it's put on like something else, maybe it's like a simple door. I think the hatch is the best case, maybe, actually. The vertical hatch. I like Rhiannon's idea about the traversable walls in terms of, like, if someone wants to get in between the walls, like they're crawling through a vent. My initial thought was that the entrance to that would be itself a door, but now I'm realizing that doesn't work. And that what we actually want is something a little different. We want like special traversable blocks, which is also why we kind of want a tile face painter, so that we can actually put vents and stuff places. But yeah, I got to think about all that. We'll start with the easy thing, which is we need to fix the block palette. The block palette selector. Which is this whole thing. Hey, Commander Apollo, how's it going? Just woke up from a 3-hour nap. That sounds nice. Oh my god, they're in the walls. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I definitely prefer the idea that they are like, hey, Cookie Mage 27, how's it going? Welcome in. This is Digital Iliad here. We are working on some isometric 2D FTL style spaceship management games. We're working on some underlying tech for that. Tile face painter would let you show damage on specific faces also. Yes, like the auto tiler needs that ability as well too, right? Like the auto tiler will be working on along multiple dimensions, and something like that, like reflecting damage, that'll be handled dynamically by the auto tiler in real time. So that like, such that if a block is like destroyed, the blocks around it could show like singed edges and stuff, right? Like some of that we want to be dynamic in real time based on, and with the auto tiler will take care of that for us. But we also, when we're in like shipbuilding mode, we also might be like, I want to place a poster on this wall, or I want a specific, yeah, I don't know. That might be a thing that we layer on top of. We'll have to decide. We'll have to decide how we want to handle purely aesthetic things like that, like details, what I call decoration. What I call decoration, like I invented the word. Yay, decorating. Yeah, exactly. Nanigans, rather than having the ability to paint faces, if you are just thinking about adding additional details such as vents or control panels or things like that, could you just have a decal layer? And those sorts of things will just be decals on top of whatever they block. Not necessarily. Because like a vent affects, like painting a vent, the fact that a vent is there makes the block itself traversable from a certain direction. And so some changes I think will actually affect the block itself. And then some changes are, yeah, like aesthetic. In which case we might as well just have like a decal layer that's on top. So I think I need to make distinctions between the difference. Like if you put a touch screen on a wall, if it's like a control panel for a system, that probably affects things like the block that is placed on, because the block that is placed on has like power running to it. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be a multifaceted solution to handling that. But yeah, some stuff I'll need to make a distinction between what's functional and what's just decorative. And if it's just decorative, yeah, it can just be another little decal layer on top, which our rendering system is pretty good at handling. But as far as how it's rendered, it doesn't matter whether it's a visual or on a layer render on top or as an alternate texture on that block. Yeah, I think from a rendering standpoint, all that matters is whether it would affect the auto tiler. Like some stuff, like if we were laying down carpet, that would affect the auto tiler, right? Or something like that. Or if we were applying damage, like Rhiannon was saying, because we might want to manually apply damage to like a surface, right? For like ambience, for like, let's say you find a derelict or something like that. So like, I think in some cases we're coercing the auto tiler, and I think in other cases we're just adding something on top, and the auto tiler doesn't care. You love the word derelict so much. It's a good word. It is a good word. Yeah, as far as anything's rendered, everything is getting rendered pretty much exactly the same way, no matter what it is. Whether it's part of the background or a character or whatever, it's all just going to be draw calls into the canvas item using one of our canvas item drop params. So the rendering is really unified. I'm just thinking about the flow in terms of the interface and the other systems. So I need to hook this stuff back up. So you're connecting your signal on pressed input handler dot block pressed block form block face. Okay, so block form doesn't exist anymore. Now we think of it in terms of, what do we think of it in terms of? Being able to paint a ship bay deck with scuffs or oil spills and stuff would be cool also. It would be cool to be able to do it manually, and it would be cool for the auto tiler to do it itself. And it's like, I think at the end of the day, we want a little of both. It's one of those where it's like, the system will take care of it if you don't care, and it will just do something simple. But it's like the terrain painting works the same way to an extent in Godot, where it'll like figure it out, but you can also influence it by like placing something yourself, and then the surrounding tiles will like update to account for it. What am I looking for right now? I'm looking for how we do block types. We don't call them tags anymore. Well, we have block tags, but we don't use them anymore. Do we? Do we use them? Block editor system. What does a block editor system block look like? It has, oh yeah, I split them out into their own bit masks, right? So we have a bit mask for block cuts, we have a bit mask for block holes, we have a mask for rooms, seals, visible. So we're gonna have a bit mask for doors, looks like what we're gonna do. Looks like what we're gonna do. You see this potentially becoming another huge can of worms? Yes. But you know what the nice thing about it is? If we just have a block face painting tool, we don't have to care. Like, we could just punt on it. As long as I can manually say, I want this face to look like this, then we can at least proceed and make lo-fi flyby. Which is gonna, you know, have a relatively small number of ships. Like, Lo-Fi Flyby will probably have, it'll probably, you know, the demo will have just one ship, which is all we care about. But even the finished version of the game will probably only have a handful of ships. Like, we'd probably launch with, like, 4 or 5 ship designs at most. I would like to just do 3, but we probably want, like, a little bit more than that. But yeah, we might only have, like, 3 ships and, like, a handful of characters. Like a dozen or so characters. So yeah. No, I think that's an important thing to note, Nanigans. And it's a good skill to develop, which is like you envision a system and all the ways it touches the other systems, and you're like, is this going to turn into like a 6-month project to integrate all of this? And it's like, if the answer is yes, maybe we'll do something else right now. But yeah, that's a really good point, which is we could easily implement this in such a way that we spend 6 months on it, or 3 months. And our quarters are precious, right? They're precious. That's a good point. So what we do need now is we need like a block door bit mask. Although we're not implementing doors right now, so we're not going to do that. I'm just thinking about it. What we're working on right now is selection stuff. So normally we can't show a selection block. So like normally I don't allow this. So normally let me see if I can make this, I can demonstrate this pretty easily. I think I can actually. So if we have some like stuff, like some walls, right? Oh God. That coyote time. We got to add that coyote time for the cursor, for the input. So if I like select a bunch of this stuff, right? You see that our selection thing, oh, is actually being kind of weird. Actually, maybe this wall is just shorter than the other wall. Yeah, it is. But you see how it's not like it all it can do is imprint over an opaque surface, right? That's all it can do. It can't actually render against nothing, and that's to prevent issues with like semi-transparent textures looking like weird. So I actually shouldn't necessarily. So like here, if I was in, I kind of want erase mode to look like this, where it's like you can kind of see the selection block, but you can also see the hollow out of the underlying thing. And like that, we could kind of do that. But that would need to be an exception. And then that would raise the question of like, well, what if I selected this big block and I turned on eraser and we were erasing into like empty space? Like, what would that look like? So maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll accept that. What I need to fix now is the fact that I can't actually get back to build mode once I'm in selection mode, because this just doesn't work. This isn't hooked up to anything, it seems like, anymore, which is an issue. I probably want less of this, like, all of this stuff is sitting here, and I probably want more of, like, an editor window, where it's, like, it shows you your block, and you can, like, use sliders to, like, change the size of the block, or paint the block, so that it has a specific look to it. I think I want a little UI tool that lets me do that eventually, but for right now, I think what we'll do is we'll just have the basic block and then a door, and then you can do things like you could have like a height slider or like a size, an XY size slider. Or maybe we'll have little grabbable little arms or something. I'll think about how I want to design an interface, but I really don't want a list. I don't want like a list of like all these different block sizes and looks. I want it to be like more modular, where you like pick a block and then you can like make some changes to it. Also, what's going on here? Oh, I see. Shenanigans. It sounds like the combinatorics of the various auto tiling systems, if not carefully thought out, could get out of hand. Yeah, for sure. Certainly doable. Your head just immediately starts going down implementation details and hit quite a few pauses. Yeah. Yeah. The easiest thing to do is to have the auto tiler just ignore manual face painting. Like, the auto tiler just doesn't know about manual face painting, and the manual face painting will just overwrite the auto tiler rather than influence it. That would probably be the easiest way to start. Something like that. But it's definitely something. So to make Lo-Fi Flyby, we'll need to do one of two things. We would either need to add that tool that lets me like manually paint blocks and stuff, or B, we would need to like deeply fake it, right? We would need to like deeply fake the ship part. Like we would need to like, I'd need to like manually build a ship. And by manual, I mean like as art. And then we're like hard coding that in. I would rather use our tools. Even if we're just building one ship, I would rather use the tools because it'll make it a lot easier to maintain. And I would like to minimize the amount of like differences between those implementations. But yeah, it's a good point. So I need to figure out why our block selector doesn't work. Well, I should probably delete a bunch of these. The deck cube. Probably rename this hull cube. And then we're going to eventually have a door cube, but I'm probably going to delete all of these for now. That's what we're going to do. Probably move the palette over. The palette I actually think wants to be anchored the other way. Okay, so this is anchored to the upper right. Why are you anchored to the upper left? Oh, because that's just kind of how it works. Right to left. There we go. Although we have our clipboard. I actually want the clipboard to be on the outside. I gotta figure out what we want to do with the clipboard. I like our clipboard a lot. I think it's actually pretty neat. It's a way of just assigning the thing that you copied to like a little key, so you could like drop it, do something else, and then pick it back up again without having to like paste it. Posted some pictures of chili for the next ad break. Nice. Thank you, Nix. Thank you for the hydrate as well. What I need to really fix here are there's some signals that I think are disconnected, or some calls that I think just don't do anything, like block pressed. Oh yeah, I broke this. Oh, because we don't enqueue inputs anymore. How do we do this now? Game.set selection mode additive, game.set selection mode subtractive, game.set selection mode exclusive. Okay, so we have these functions that set the inputs indirectly. Okay, cool. So like when I click a button, so when I click a button to like actually finish executing something, game.end interaction, game. This is so stupid how we handle this, but you know, it works. Okay, so all we're doing is like setting the input. So all I really really want to do when you press one of those buttons, then I need to get the sculpting system back into the right state, which is the placement active state. So yeah, when we enter the selection stage, placement active becomes false. And selection active becomes true. So we want to flip this around again. How am I going to tell it to do that? Yeah, we're definitely trying to weigh the benefits a little more carefully about system development and tools development versus actually making game content. Certainly up until the present day, we've very heavily favored just working and expanding on the systems and tools, but that's because we were delivering on scope. Now we want to switch to delivering on deadline. So our attitude is changing around what the trade-off is between working on a tool or in a system versus working on the game content. Right now, we're kind of in a nice spot where most of the stream time can be spent on programming stuff to finish these systems up. And then in my own time, I'm working on like art and stuff. And soon I'll be working on music. And I'll just be chugging on, content in the background a little bit. Maybe we add something to the stage. To the interaction or selection stage. Because you're really not ever doing both. Actually, I guess you are. No, that's not true. You're in one or the other. Maybe I should have called it placement stage instead of interaction stage. I think they're the same, though. Really, when you think about it. Commander Apollo, what other tools have you made from your time on the streams you've only gotten to see the map editor? We've made tools for game jams and stuff, which is all the worst, literally the worst time to do it. The block editor tool is actually a suite of like multiple tools and systems. Because it's got, a sculpting system, a cutaway system. But no, it's all tied up with block editor. We don't have like other, there aren't some other tools that we've done for this game that are unrelated to the block editor. Eventually we'll need a scenario editor for like setting up, you've jumped into this system, what is happening? Like, are there enemies? Is it an asteroid field? What scripted events like occur when you jump? Or what spontaneous events occur or whatever. Like, that's a scenario editor. And then eventually we'll need a campaign editor, which is like, what does the overall arc of one of these campaigns look like in terms of like jumping from system to system? Like what overall top level stuff is happening and changing? Like it's an Iliad, so there's a war going on, and like what's the status of the war, go back and forth. So you're gonna have some of those tools too, but those are the three big ones. Would be the block editor tool for building ships and stuff, a scenario editor tool for like talking about tactical situations and scripting those out, and then a campaign editor for like the strategic layer stuff. But yeah, we haven't done the other two at all. We haven't touched those. Random Journey. Is an ECS considered a tool? Not like a tool for making game content, but a tool for making the game itself. I would say it's more of like a data model or like a framework or something. I don't think it's a tool. To me, it would be weird to call it a tool. It does enable certain things in the way that a tool would, but it's not like you use it to do something. I don't think. Okay, so I have an idea to maybe use the stage. None, begin, continue, end. It's not exactly what I want. What about mode? Undefined, additive, exclusive, subtractive. Okay, I don't like that either. But why are these structured so differently? Why is this its own thing? And this is like this. Kind of weird. I think for now, I'm just going to make a placement active bool. That's what we call it in the system. I feel like it'll be easiest to just do that. I'll call it like set placement active or something. I think that's all we need to do for this. And then this will be set inactive in some cases. All right, this is gonna need to change. Once you're able to actually like select a door or whatever, that'll need to change. I'm gonna just hide the clipboard. Maybe I just get rid of the clipboard. We don't really have copy paste working right now. And I kind of want to rethink copy paste a little bit. Which I can do because, again, we don't really care about the usability of the block editor tool right now. It's not really going to be a factor in Lo-Fi Flyby. It's really a purely internal tool. And I think in terms of misuses of time, I think the focus I've put on quality of life of using the block editor tool is misplaced. Because it's like, if the tool sucks to use, if I'm the only one using it and we're only using it to make a handful of ships, I think that's okay. If we're using it to make a ton of ships, then it's a problem. And if other people are using it, it's a problem. But I think our focus for this year is really helping me evaluate the priority of different things, which is cool. Definitely an improvement for me. Yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of this for now. I really like our little clipboard icon. but I don't think I need it right now. And so you're going to be... I'm going to temporarily flip you to be right to left. That's all this is going to do. What we need to do is we need to be able to talk back down to it. Release pressed button. Pressed button. Button group dot get. Oh, these are all part of a button group, aren't they? How is a button group a resource? It is, isn't it? Yeah, it is. We're gonna get rid of these. Input handler dot block pressed. We're gonna get rid of the parameters. I'm not gonna call this a whole cube anymore. It's a whole block. Oh, you know what's gonna suck? Having to make multiple versions of these buttons. You know what I kind of don't want to do? That. Like, I don't want different buttons for different sized blocks. And you know what? I don't have to. I'm in charge. We can come up with a cool, sick block palette navigation and folder system and tool and whatever later. All I really need to do is know whether I'm drawing a block or a door. At least until we start to get shaped blocks, which we actually do pretty desperately need soon. Like angled blocks and like rounded blocks and like different stuff. Hey, nice guy. Working on what today? Today's the first time I enter the live and you see Godot script. Yeah, we do use GD script in this project. We're fixing. We have this like little UI palette selection that used to let us select different blocks for placement. The way we've changed the way blocks are structured, it doesn't really make sense right now. So I'm just trying to make it usable at the moment, because right now it doesn't do anything, so I'm just hooking it back up. But yeah, we have a little bit of GD script. GD script in this game handles rendering stuff and UI. That's all it does. So like our tile mosaic sets our draw parameters, and then our actual tile layer here handles like the draw, setting up the draw texture rect region for drawing all our different items and stuff. So yeah, we pretty much just use GD script for UI and rendering stuff that just exists only on the Godot side, and it doesn't touch. It draws data, it gets sent, it gets pushed data from the C# simulation layer, but and it receives stuff to render, and it sends UI commands. So it sends input and it receives output, and that's pretty much all our GD script stuff does. But how's it going? Thank Godot it's Friday. I'm in charge, sounding kind of power hungry. Yeah. It's liberating to be like, you know, this can suck because I'm the only one that's going to use it. So this can just be a terrible experience. You know, or at least I'm in charge of deciding whether we've reached that point or not. Why did I make these canvas text or texture rects? And I also did it using nodes. Which one am I actually using? I'm using the nodes, right? Yeah, okay. Watch me use like a minified version of the auto tiler to like render our little UI blocks. I can't think of another way to do it except to do it that way. So we could have like we could have almost like a sub viewport that's your UI. That's a window into like another tile mosaic that's just for the editor. probably what we'll do. Because, yeah, I'm not making this. I really hate texture buttons because I don't like having to have these baked, like, variations of it. I would much rather do it in, like, a shader or something, which I know is an option. I'm just trying to use the nodes Godot gives me, you know? Man, I, like, wrenched my shoulder again. Like, sleeping. Does not feel good. Getting old, Snake. And again, you think the main justification in a lot of the tools you've done thus far is, you know, if things were tedious to do, you would not make as nearly a good end product. And you would be a lot more resistant to change and experimentation, knowing it would be tedious to fix. Oh, yeah. I think that's the thing to optimize for. Not necessarily how nice it is to use, but I think the thing to optimize for is, like, how easy is it to change, or how easy does it make it to change things, right? Like, how easy is the tool to change if you need to, and then how easy does the tool make it to change other things? So it's like, because, yeah, you're right. If it's hard to use, you're not going to use it. If it's hard to change, you're not going to change it. That's the enemy of game development, is rigidity, is getting stuck on something, and you're like, yeah, I should change this because I'm getting X and Y feedback, but it's really hard to change this, so we're just going to ignore the feedback and just keep it. Like, that can happen a lot, and it's really easy to justify in your head. Of like, well, I can't change this. I don't have time. I don't have the resources. So we're just going to not. So yeah, that's a good point too, Nanigans. But that said, you do indeed have an issue with getting too deep into the details that ultimately do not matter or may get thrown away. Yeah, you can't have it both ways, Nanigans. You can't be like, oh, I wouldn't do a block-facing tool because it sounds like it would be hard to do. And then be like, if the tool isn't very easy to use, I'm not going to use it. Yeah, it's a trade-off. You have to make that. You have to constantly validate and scrutinize decisions like that. Like, I do or don't think it's worth working on that. Oh, you know what we don't need in here is the actual, like, ordering stuff. Actually, we probably do. Well, do we? So this stuff is all happening kind of on its own. I'm wondering about where to do the sorting. I think we want to eventually start doing the sorting in each individual canvas item. In which case, I kind of don't actually want to do it there. I kind of want to do it in like a go wide, like multi-threaded situation. That could maybe speed up the rendering significantly. I bet we spend a ton of time on exactly this step, which is the for each list in draw calls list.sort. I bet this eats up a lot of performance. And right now it makes sense to do because we're not doing it anywhere else, but maybe we could push this down and do this somewhere else. But that's not what we're working on right now. All we're trying to do is make it so I can go back and forth between selecting and placing blocks, which at the moment we can't do. So we need there needs to be we need to have the reverse. Yeah, released button. We need this released button. Nobody is calling this. One usage out of scope. Yeah, somebody needs to call this. Whose job is it call this? Whose job is it to release the button? Is it the input handler's job? Hey, Nightska. These days you're just doing things without much thought. If it breaks or gets slow, you fix it, change it. That's nice. I think that's the straightforward way that I've been working on. But now we have a deadline, so now we need a little bit more structure. I mean, it's a self-imposed deadline, but it's a deadline. Nannigan's biggest one you had was making your Vox tile importer. Went from a 3+ hour manual error-prone process to it literally taking a fraction of a second. That's what I want to hear. That's the good stuff right there. That's the good stuff. Okay, so there is a button group somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere there's a button group. And this is part of the button group. And then in the input handler, it'd be really cool if I could tell who calls this function. I know I could probably search for this in scripts, but... So this, the begin selection, this is kind of where we want to do it. Right here. We want to say, well, was someone else supposed to do this? Blockpalette.call, release press button. Someone here is supposed to do it. I don't totally agree with that, but I am going to go with it. I'm going to go with it. I think I could do it here just fine. There's a reason we added a bunch of this indirection, because we used to add inputs to a queue and then we would dequeue inputs. And so like we weren't ever 100% sure that we were processing input on the same frame. And actually eventually we're going to go back to not processing input on the same frame that it's received. We're going to have like a delayed thing. So that we have a whole frame to do different things. We get a little bit more time to do the simulation, get a little bit more time to do the render. But for right now, this is okay. So who can say this? So you can say it. And you can, when this happens, you could just call, excuse me, you could just call this. Say game.release pressed button. And then we could say hey Ninity 342, welcome in. How's it going? Happy Friday. Thank Godot, it's Friday. Thank you for the follow. Rhiannon, Nanigan's tools journey. Sounds like it's been about making hours-long processes much faster to complete. Yeah, that sounds right. You'd argue that my block editor has already got the big win of making a ship from hours long of painting tile maps manually to a few seconds of drawing. Oh yeah, I think we got that early. And then we're just getting caught up in quality of life stuff. You think it doesn't feel right to say the quality of life features are micro optimizations, but if you're only looking at time save, they might be. Yeah, we're moving on from quality of life to like expressiveness. We need to make sure the tool is expressive at this point, not that it's like easy to use or whatever. We need to be able to create and represent certain things using the tool. Or we need to fake it and not use the tool. And like, I want to go with doing it with the tool for now. Yeah, Nanigans, you're making like a 3D game that you're trying to make look 2D, and I'm like making like a 2D game that I'm trying to make look like 3D. We're like doing the same thing in different directions. Funny. Nix, as long as there's at the end, there's a button to auto repair things in game instead of manually having to destroy and plan everything. Yeah. Yeah, RimWorld, the RimWorld tools from the vanilla version of that game can be kind of hard to use, which is crazy because those are tools that like the players use to do things in game. I'm not too worried about that for Lo-Fi Flyby because it being an idle game, it's really like the game plays itself and you direct the overall progression of it. This game, the big game, is going to be different though, for sure. To do, add support for subtractive selections. I don't have that yet. Okay, that's fine. Can do that. What do I need right now though? Right now, what I'm trying to do. If placement active. So what if we didn't and placement active? Placement active. So what if this wasn't a private variable? What if we got rid of it and we only referred to the global game.placement active, game.input placement active? That could bite me later, but I'm going to do that for right now. Next, there's actually a button in game now to set up items to be auto-repaired, rebuilt. Yeah. Didn't work in the mod that you like to play. Yeah, I can see that being annoying. All right. Okay, now we don't have to worry about that. About like setting it separately in the system, and the system is just going to look at the global input state, which again is awkward. And I guess we're going to need to reintroduce. We're going to need to either reintroduce the concept of a queue, or we're going to need to do something to kind of protect. I guess we'll have a queue on the game again that holds inputs just as long as we need to hold them. And we're not going to record them anywhere. We're just going to hold on to them. Nanigans, your aim is to make as much of the tools that you use to make the game available to modders to do what they want with it as well. Yeah, I would like that. And that's definitely my vision for my tools as well. Nanigans, official half-baked tools that are created after the fact are a lot better than relying on hacks from the community, but if you know your tools are good enough to make the game, they're good enough to mod. Yeah. Yeah, I just need to keep in mind that no one's gonna be modding my game anytime soon. So, like, we'll definitely have a pass later where we're concerned with, this stuff. So, released button. And then you're also going to need to set that global to false, which you do. Okay, maybe this works. Let's see if this works. I don't know if this is going to work. I think I missed something. Yeah, node not found, pallet blocks, clipboard. Who asks for that? We're not actually using that for anything, so who's asking? Main, node, something. Call, implicit ready. Palette, block palette, GD5. Palette, block palette, GD5. Block palette. Line 5. Oh. Clipboard. We're just gonna hide all of this for now. No one's gonna call this. It's gonna be fine. Okay, I can't see anything. Not a great start. I probably need that value to start as true. Okay, kind of. There's still a delay for the overlay. That's okay. It's not great, but I actually don't understand it. Don't totally understand it. Oh, I understand. Never mind. Never mind. It's because the canvas item drawing system is running in a background thread. So it's not, it doesn't have that. And so if I draw something and then I switch to selection mode and then I hit this again, now we're back into this. So this isn't getting released though. This is pretty janky. I want to change the way this works. Maybe just not right now. Input placement is true. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, you know what? Maybe that would be okay, actually. No, I don't want to do it like that. Let me get rid of that. Release button. Great. Shenanigans. And as much as you love to be optimistic, the reality is only a very small percentage of people make mods for games. True. And a very small percentage of a very small player base is microscopically small. That's an important thing to think about too. So how do you get the biggest gains for the largest number of players? Okay, so this isn't being released for some reason. Is this never being called? No, it's not. Why is it not? Did I put this in the wrong? Yeah, game.input.selectionStage is not equal to none. Case stage.begin game.release button. Are you telling me we're never beginning? Are we never getting to this point? Yeah, we got there. Okay. But this isn't doing what I want it to do. Oh, that's... Release button. Input.release button. Oh, wait, what the f... What is this? I also have one of these? I want released button like that. Okay. think someone else calls those functions. Cannot access non-static release button in static context. Oh, yeah, that would be a problem. So I guess we'll do this. Can't do this either. Huh. So it's a static problem. That's okay. That's okay. We're not going to do it here then. We're not going to do this here either. We'll do this somewhere else. Welcome back, Commander Apollo. So I could do the thing that's good enough for now, or I could do this properly. I might just do the thing that's good enough for now. I might just take a shortcut and do all this stuff over here at the input level. Like short circuit it. Since at the moment, there's no delay between receiving an input and processing it. Once we add that delay back, we're going to need to change the way we do this stuff. So here we can say block pressed. We can say game.setPlacementActive. So what we should also do is maybe have a function of like block released. The game dot. I don't know if calling it this is a great way. Who uses this? I think one person uses this. Is it you? No, it's not you. Is it you? Yeah. No. Oh, it's you. It's one of these. So you say on pressed input handler dot block pressed. Okay. We're gonna say block palette. We'll say palette block pressed. At the moment, we don't need to know which one. Eventually we will. Say block. Say palette block pressed. Say set placement active. That's all we need to do. I kind of want a palette block released, but I don't want it to be on the input handler. We're heading into ads for the last time this stream here, which means we've been live for 2 hours, which is amazing. We've done nothing, so you know, if we get the palette thing enabled, that'll be nice. All right, we're heading into ads. I'm gonna take a quick bio break. I'll be right back. We'll see. Well, maybe we'll look at some chili pictures. But quick break here. Thanks for hanging out today. Happy Friday. Hope you all have some nice weekend plans. Today's supposed to be the last warm day, which is sad for me. I was kind of holding out hope for like a beach trip on the weekend, you know? Beach episode. I'll be right back. Hang tight. All right, we're back. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, we're gonna need to reorder some stuff soon. We're gonna need to add an input queue back just so we can collect inputs. I guess we have to figure out how we want to do that. You know what we probably do? What we're probably gonna do is we're probably just gonna keep the input global live. Like you can we'll like keep updating things directly to the input global. And then whenever we run a simulation, we'll take a snapshot of that input. That way, if the input then changes, that's fine. We have our little input snapshot for the simulation. And then the rendering will use that same snapshot. So maybe we pass that around or something. I'll come up with like a little structure that we can store the input in for that purpose. Yeah, it should be cool. He said it'd be cool. But right now, we're not going to worry about that. Right now, I just want my stupid little block button to work. You gotta run. Take it easy, Rhiannon. Have a good weekend. No stream tomorrow. I have my monthly Godot meetup. Also, no stream Tuesday. I'm gonna be spending the day with my partner, which will be nice. We never have a day off together, and so we're being proactive, and we're gonna take the day Tuesday, hang out, do some fun stuff. But yeah, we literally don't have the same days off ever, so should be fun. Yeah, thanks, Rhiannon. So yeah, we'll be back Wednesday. We're still going. We're still going for like the rest of the hour here. But just letting Rhiannon know we gotta run. Hey, you'll catch me again. You'll catch me again Wednesday. Maybe I'll post something in Discord, just a quick note. Maybe I'll do that when I create the stream chat channel or whatever. Make a quick note about the next time we're going to be live. Yeah, this has also gotten messy. Man, spring cleaning is going to be good. We probably really need to do that before we start working too hard on Lo-Fi Flyby. Because right now we're kind of in rough shape. There's just so much junk. So much junk. So what we've done in the past is the input handler talks to these or calls these static functions. The static functions update the input thing, and then a system later on will process that. Well, we need to go back the other way. We've been invoking this, but like who is able to invoke this? Like who has been invoking like level up or down or... I don't think we have any usages in scope. We do not. So nobody is calling any of these.
Most illogical.
Mm-hmm. I actually also want this to set. Oh, this is already on. Cool. So this will call input handler.palette block pressed. this one for release pressed button. We'll figure out what button is pressed. And we'll release that button. We'll release the focus and set the button not be pressed. So we need to call this when we start a selection. But nobody knows about this. The board, actually the game knows about the block palette. So it's responsible. The question just is, when do we do that? Oh, we're calling these from... how are we doing that? Okay. I'm gonna call this release block button. What we're gonna do is we're gonna say, we're gonna move this function up here. Do one of these. So I can't reference this here. Oh, it's because of the node. Nodes and child. Oh, duh. Oh, so these are all super old, and I can just chuck all of these. I don't think we use any of these. Z level scrolled. We might use the Z level one, but I'm getting rid of these. This is not how we organize our stuff anymore. What we do, we have a static function like this. Instead of this, we're going to say nodes. Int. I'm going to say child dot block palette. We don't know about that. Okay. So what childs do we know about? What about the tile mosaic? Oh, you're all direct children, huh? I mean, you're all children, but those are... No, they're not even direct. Okay, so we want the block palette on this list. So how are we going to get you? Oh, you are a unique name, so that's good. And export private node block palette. Oh, yeah, you're up there. Okay. So we're going to get rid of these. So we're going to use these, any of those. Make sure that's all set up, I guess. You know about all of these? Yeah, you do, huh? Okay. Let's rebuild this and make sure it still does. Like, these shouldn't exist anymore. Why are these still here? Oh, I didn't actually get rid of them from here. Okay. Rebuild again. There we go. Much cleaner. I forgot my water, chat. Be right back. Chair stream. All right, Chair, you got this. I think I'm gonna go get an iced coffee. I'm gonna go get some laundry going after this. I'm gonna get an iced coffee. It's gonna be good. It's usually not iced coffee weather here in the city, but it feels like it. It feels like it today. Okay, does this function work now? Now that I'm throwing my nodes in this list and this list is statically available. Release block button, nodes, int, child, block palette, call, release pressed button. Now someone just needs to call this. All right, so I do this. I switch to selection mode. Almost. It released the button. But it comes back. It's not changing something else. It's not changing the placement active thing. I'm going to say game.input.placementActive equals false. Okay, now we're squarely in selection mode. And then if I press my little block palette button, now we're back in block placement mode. It didn't clear my selection, which I think I want it to do. Oh, this is an old version of the block, is it? Oh yeah, this is an old sprite. I want to come up with a different thing for the block tool. I really want to have, like, in this corner, have like a sub viewport container that has like it'll show you what your block is going to look like. So if you're trying to place a bigger than one block thing, like a door or something, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to do that. I kind of want you to have to, like, modify the size of the thing you're doing like this. I don't know. But there are things that you will be able to place that will be, like, bigger than one block, but they're also discrete things. So maybe we can do both. But yeah, I want it to be this kind of responsive thing and not just this kind of grid of buttons of like pre-made buttons. Okay, so yeah, when I click this button, it should clear the selection. You can see some of the weird corner stuff happening here too. Weird. So I guess what we're gonna say, get rid of this release button thing. I actually do kind of want this to be an aspect of the interaction or the selection as like a stage or a mode or something. Maybe that's overkill. Maybe we just have some kind of something else. But what I need to do now is we need to clear the selection coords. How do I do that? I literally just say clear. So when we set placement active, this actually needs to be a multi-step. Or I could have it be like a setter getter situation here. I kind of want to do more things with setter getter. But for right now, we'll just do it like this. Oh boy. I'm going to say input.selection coords.clear. Like this sleepy little music. Slow roll into the weekend here. All right, so now when I do this and I grab a selection, it correctly unselected the block from the palette. And then if I reselect the block in the palette, it undoes the selection. That's it. It's that easy. You know? That's simple. But yeah, we really need to rethink the whole like system flow of all of this so that it all works correctly, behaves correctly. I do some testing, some light testing, make sure everything appears relatively normal. Oops, too far. Ceiling is 2 blocks tall now. That's fine. Well, we'll see if that's fine, actually. It seems fine. Oh, it looks kind of good, actually. I didn't do anything and it moved my cursor. That's a little weird. There must have been some slight momentum on the scroll wheel. I'm gonna try selecting things, right? Okay, so the selection thing can work this way too. That's great. Nice, nice. This is what we want to see. I mean, weird auto tiler riveting notwithstanding, but oh, you know, we really might want to consider the cursor itself like a special case. Maybe not. But yeah, the selection seems to be working just fine. And then if I reselect my block, yeah, the selection's gone. Great. The floor being like this size made me think of something, and I kind of want to... This kind of trigger is triggering something in my mind. This is like a double block or something. It's like a double block floor. And I'm just like, do I actually want to make the block a little taller? I probably don't, though. This is probably a good block size. Like, what would the consequences of that be? Let's, like, grab the block. Well, let's actually just open the hull shape exploration. Let's explore some hull shapes. So right now, our block is this size. If it was two of these... The reason I think I don't want to do this is very simple. And I think it has to do with my dimetric perspective. But let's just validate this real quick before I make assumptions about what I'm talking about here. I'm ready for the weekend. I mean, I know I'm going to spend the weekend like doing like Godot game dev stuff, but still ready. So here's why we're not going to do this. Why we're not going to make the block like square, like approximately as tall as it is across. Because this is like 16 this way, and it's like 16 this way. So this is like a cube. And the reason why we're not making our block a cube is just because if it's a cube, then the block covers more than one block behind it. You know what I'm saying? So like this block in the back is obscured by 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 2 and 2. So within 2 units in each direction, a block 2 units in front of this block obscures this block in the back. But the nice thing about the squat block is the squat block only ever obscures one block in behind it, and it only does so partially. So I kind of like the look of the double thick floors. And I actually see kind of an argument for doing it that way. Especially if I want people to be able to like crawl through the floor. We're not going to actually do that. For that exact reason of we don't want to block more than one tile behind ourselves. I have to figure out how I'm going to do all of these with our new block palette. How I'm going to do like angled blocks. Got to think about that. And also miniaturized blocks. Did I ever actually look at what a miniaturized block would look like? Oh yeah, it would be this. That's fine. Should be up. Like that. Yeah, we're gonna need to redraw so many things. It's fine. That's game dev. Iteration. Game dev is iteration. If you're not prepared to iterate, I don't know. Oh, should I have this if peak state is not equal to state.exit? Probably. I'm ready for my coffee. I'm ready for my iced coffee now. I'm tired. All right, what else do we want to do today? Look at my task list here. So we're definitely... We knocked out a task in one day, which is pretty good. Tile selection overlay, moving that from in progress to under review. I don't think there's any problems with it, but I like to leave stuff in under review for a while. So this is it. This is the attitude. I would go weeks without moving tasks around this list. I mean, that was an easy one because we already had most of that in place, and you know, we were just re-enabling it or whatever, but I still think it matters. You know what I'm realizing is not great about how my little fake Kanban board is set up is that the planned list is like huge and the completed list will eventually be like huge. But the in progress and under review lists are usually like very, very light. But that's, I guess, part of my process is I like to drill down into particular type. These lists don't need to be short. They could grow. Like I could have a bunch of stuff going on all at once and put it all in the in progress, but are there one of these completed tasks that's going back? So copy, cut, and paste tool isn't done and it's going back. It's going back into the to-do list here. It's on hold. It's in the backlog. stuff is still done. Yeah, I don't really want to delete things in the completed list because like a lot of times they come back around. Like the copy, cut, and paste tool task. And again, so you've had YouTube and TikTok both pointing lots of different tools and resources at you today. You posted yet another Discord. Ooh, I'll check it out. I'm skeptical. I'm not skeptical, but I'm like hesitant to like do too much plugin stuff. But tools can be very good. Time for retro. It's a retro sound effect tool. Ooh. Okay, yeah, that's interesting to me. And against Kanbans for personal projects tend to be like that. You only really tend to see lots in the middle columns when it's the status of a team. Yeah, lots of people working on lots of stuff, or you've got blockers or whatever. You've got like complex dependencies where it's like, oh, I started this, but I realize it's dependent on this other thing. And that's probably how this will fill up, is I'll be like, oh, I want to do the save and load, but to do the save and load, I need to get the block editor history. Expand block palette is maybe one of the next things to try to figure out. I want to do expand block palette. I want to do block face paint tool. I want these two sorted out. I want these three. And then I want these three. Although 90-degree camera rotations we basically just have for free in Lo-Fi Flyby. We don't actually have to worry about that. Hey, Celestial Meow. What up? Welcome to the YouTube side. Definitely my favorite Harris Heller song. I can move stuff into in progress on the Lo-Fi Flyby demo. I am working on the pilot character. And I'm working on the pet companion. And I'm working on the small cargo ship. Only thing I haven't really touched is the soundscape stuff. Should probably make some I should probably make another one of those for the Steam page and one for the trailer. Yo, what up, Hex? How's it going? Are you gearing up for the up for more sequence? Is it just you, or did my stream schedule really intensify? Nope. 5 days a week. Usually around 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. I took a week off for GDC and stuff. And, you know, I missed days here and there. Like, tomorrow I'm not streaming, and Tuesday I'm not streaming. But normally we're Tuesday through Saturday. So it's just you. Yeah, my consistency goes up or down a bit, depending on what else I've got going on. But I'm pretty good at usually doing at least 4 out of my 5 days each week. That's what we're doing this week and next week. We're missing Saturday and we're missing Tuesday. This week and next week. Up for more? Maybe, you don't know. Yeah, I'm not, because I wouldn't say I'm happy with the game I made for that jam, but I think anything I do to change it, I wouldn't want to do it in that system. It's one of those things where it's like I'd start ripping things out and replacing stuff, and like I don't think it's a good use of time. I still need to do some more updating on my last Down to Jam game that I actually do want to like add a little bit to in terms of usability and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Ludum Dare is in less than a month. Happy first day of spring, by the way. Happy vernal equinox. don't know what else I can do today. It's not like a big chunky thing. What is the block visibility system? Oh, that was like a... That was supposed to be like a occlusion calling system I was writing. What I really need to do is start splitting out the common code in these projects so I can actually make a separate lo-fi flyby project to work on when I'm working on the specifics of that. Set block visibility. Yeah, I kind of want to do this on a compartment by compartment basis, rather than whatever's going on here. Been looking at those submodules, maybe? I did. The submodules are perfect. Submodules are going to be great for us. I did a bunch of reading about that. Yeah. I'm actually... I don't mind having, like, a shit ton of repositories, like one for each of my submodules, but what I really want to avoid is having a Godot project for each of those repos. And so I think submodules are really nice because I can have like a repo, or I can have a Godot project that's like, and a repo, I guess, that's like all of my plugins in one project. So I can like experiment with them like working together and stuff. And each of those add-ons can be a submodule, but they don't each need to be their own Godot project. And I think that's a neat way to get around. I think that's a neat use of the submodule. So I can still have like one project that holds all of those. You've been using that approach for like 2 months already? Yeah. The thing I need to do, and which looks slightly complicated, is I need to be careful when I'm like moving all of that stuff into the submodule, like, because the working tree will get annoyed if it's like, hey, you had this directory that was like right here and now it's kind of still here, but it's like part of the submodule now, and it's like, so I need to be careful about the initial setup for all that. But it looks good. It looks really good. I think the submodule thing is going to be a really nice compromise for having a lot of common functionality that I can use. Especially the stuff that's good for the jams. But yeah, that's really cool. Submodules are going to be great. Yeah, no stream tomorrow, Celestial Meow. Sound can be left for last. After all, in space, no one hears you play music. That's funny. Yeah, true. No, it's not that like I'm worried about making progress on the music immediately. Like that's not a huge concern for me right now. The thing that I'm more worried about is I need to just spend more time making music. Like it needs to be something I'm just practicing. And I've got some stuff to help me with it. I got a new little musical instrument that'll be arriving that I think will help me jam out little melodies and stuff. And I'm gonna start playing around with my MIDI keyboard more. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a while before I come up with a stack, like a DAW and all the stuff that I want. It's gonna be a learning process. But it's definitely the most important thing about a casual indie idle simulation thing. The music is gonna be the most important part of Lo-Fi Flyby. Wow, Dave sure takes a lot longer to talk to us, lowly YouTube peasants. Yeah, the YouTube latency is worse, and I'm less good about watching the window. Hex, there's basically a single issue you're not sure how to solve. Submodules tend to detect a bunch of .import file changes every time something is added to the common repo, which seems to be due to CRLF conversions. Interesting. Shenanigans. If your ship gets a breach, muffle, almost mute the audio. That'd be, I would definitely do that. Yeah, like the flashbang sound in FPS. We just duck out the audio when there's like an explosive decompression. That would be fun. That would be fun. And then you bring the audio back because you need the audio. But yeah, that would be really cool. That's a really good idea. You'll see, or maybe it won't happen for you. Yeah, I'm interested to see how the project that's going to hold all of these, the Godot project that holds all of these submodules, works in terms of how annoying it is. Be cool. Arneo, for whatever reason, you can't write code at all right now. Not sure if you should focus on something else instead. Yeah, maybe you should just unfocus. Hex, it's almost not annoying. Yeah, it sounds okay. It's not that bad. But yeah, it seems like the perfect tool for what I'm trying to do. I'm just hesitant to set it all up. But it's spring. It's officially spring now, so spring cleaning time. I think I'm going to try to clean up all the projects and then move everything over to different submodules. That's going to be kind of annoying because I'm going to need to separate the framework of my entity component system from the implementation of the entities or the components and systems that I'm actually using in the project. So I need to separate everything out, which I think will be quite a chore, but I think the result will be great. Shenanigans. Right now you're building a bunch of your sub stuff just in the add-ons folder, largely out of necessity with how Godot works. Yeah, that's kind of why I want the submodule approach. Is I think everything in the add-on folders, like I think each folder in my add-on folder will be its own submodule. Because I don't use external add-ons, so I'm fine. I don't need to track add-ons in my Git repo, which I feel like you wouldn't want to do anyway necessarily. But yeah, I think that's perfect. I think having your add-ons be submodules is I think that'll work really well with how Godot is structured and how what I'm trying to do is. Who knows? I can't talk. It's Friday. We're done. We're out of here. We're basically done. Ship it. You keep it simple, a single common submodule. You might need a separate add-ons submodule because Godot expects to have add-ons in root. Yeah, this is why I'm going to try to avoid... I want to try to avoid having my submodule be like a whole Godot project. I kind of want my submodules to just be add-ons / plugins. I want to try that. I think it could work. Because I want to do them in such a way that they don't care whether they're in a C# project or like a regular Godot project, assuming they don't, need both of those things. Yeah, your submodules are not Godot projects. That seems like the way to go. Yeah, I think that is just a bunch of files. Yeah, exactly. I'll have to see how that works with the C# stuff. I'm a little confused about how the different solutions are gonna play nicely or not nicely with each other. I have to try a bunch of stuff. I think it'll be cool. Nanigans, you spent too long yesterday rebasing 99 commits because you had your Git history mixed up between your DIGITAL account and your work account. Oh my god, that sounds horrible. You have it set up properly now. As long as you're working out of that folder, it uses the correct account automatically. Yeah, getting that mangled together sounds horrible. Hex, for you, there's a single solution. The submodule just holds code files. Yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine. Because in any project that happens to be a C# project that uses that submodule that has that in its add-on folder, the project solution will find those code files, right? And then the Godot project that I use to hold all of those submodules together for, like, you know, whatever, for whatever stupid reason, I would want to have all of them together. That should also be fine. Yeah, it seems great. It seems like the perfect solution. I'm just scared to. I'm scared of spring cleaning, but it's time. The time is now. It's spring. Spring has sprung, as they say. Reusability solved. I really hope so. I really hope so. I'm going to be doing, at my Godot meetup tomorrow, I'm going to be doing some templatizing, and I might look at setting up some of that submodule stuff at the same time. But yeah, I think that's it for today. Like I said, no stream tomorrow because of the Godot meetup. And then no stream Tuesday because I'm taking the day and spending it with my partner while the weather is nice. And yeah, we'll be back Wednesday. Wednesday we'll be back. So thank you all so much for watching. Different branches for different projects, Nanigans. That sounds horrible. And on that bombshell, it's time for us to end. No chili ad break. Yeah, sorry. We'll look at chili. We'll check out some chili stuff next time. We can go through the backlog. I'll try to make a proper channel for it. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you all Wednesday. Bye.